Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hey.
Waiting on some more people to join, and I'll start the roll in just a second. Okay. All right. Let me see. Yassine Amar.
I'm here.
All right. Couture artist. Nope. Zaria Ashley. All right. Nadia Bell.
Here.
Jalen Brumby. Michaela Cleveland. Larry Colbert. Ayana Collins Roberts.
Here.
Maya Cross. Marius Davis. I see. Okay. Jay Downs. All right. Janae Harris. Okay. Janera Harrison. Xavier Hayes. All right. Lucina Hazel. Dia Hilliard. Shanique Hines. Justice Hope. Antoniqua Hubbard.
Here.
Cameron Engel. Willie Lennon. Kyla Lofton. Skylar McDowell. Shadeja McMillan.
Here.
Lestacia Miller. Jermaine Mitchum.
Here.
Daniel Moore,
Here.
Tatiana Philomar,
Here.
Patrick Price, no LCU, Kaylin Red, no, Parrish Rippey, Joseph Reimer. Thought I saw that. Yeah, I see it. Akeem Sirleaf, Ratia Taylor, Kerry Watkins,
I'm here.
Tavis Williams, and Tiana Williams. Tiana Williams, no Tiana Williams. Okay. So we'll go ahead and jump in. Did everyone get the lecture or review the lecture that was posted for chapter 6 and chapter 7?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now the book is, like I said, it's a short book. It's not a whole lot of reading. Did y'all skim the chapters or read the chapters?
Yes.
All right, so y'all have an understanding for what those chapters are about. Now, with the end of those chapters 1 through 7, that marks the end of the first section of the textbook. That means there's going to be a quiz. The quiz will be posted tomorrow at 8 a.m. Well, I'll probably post it at 7. So it'll be up at 7 a.m. And it'll be up tomorrow, the 11th, and it'll be up through the 14th, which is Monday, I believe. Yeah, it'll be up until Monday at midnight. So like I said, it'll be 10 questions, multiple choice. For you guys, so that's why it's important to have the book for this class, because I don't tell you which questions I use, but I'll give you I'll let you know that, of course, at the end of every chapter in this textbook, they actually have review questions. They have multiple, some of them are multiple choice, some of them are true, false, but you flip the book upside down and it actually gives you the answers. So it's not very challenging. I actually, I get my question, that essentially becomes my question bank for my quizzes. So we essentially have 7 chapters, 7 chapters of quizzes, of questions that I can pull from. And of course I pulled 10 of them. So the quiz is 10 questions. All right, who's that checking in under Kathy Dillard?
Hello, Dr. Boyce. It's Day Hilliard. I left my laptop at home this weekend. I'm using my mother's laptop for today. I'm sorry.
Okay, I got you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I was just telling the class that of course you guys have my lectures for 6 and 7. And chapter 7 marks the end of the first section of the textbook. So the quiz, so that means there's a quiz. So once we finish every section of the textbook, so there are only 3 sections of the textbook: section 1, section 2, section 3. At the end of every section, there's a quiz. So this is quiz. So quiz number 1 will be posted tomorrow morning. It'll be posted tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. People keep want to come in. Okay, here we go. Wait till they sign in, y'all. Repeat myself 8 times. I know that's Lashina Hazel just signed in, and Miss Hope, right?
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
My students are so asking. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. All right, I was just telling the class that we finished chapter 6 and 7. Chapter 7, the end of chapter 7 marks the end of the first section of the textbook. So that means we have a quiz. So we have a quiz scheduled usually right after the end of every section of the textbook. So quiz 1 will be posted tomorrow. It'll be up tomorrow morning. It's 10 questions, all multiple choice. And as I just told the class that I get my question, the question bank I get is directly from the textbook. I just showed them that, of course, at the end of every chapter in the textbook, there are a set of review questions. And if you turn that same page upside down, the answer to the review questions are upside down at the bottom of the page, of course. So, this is hold up. This is Xavier. Xavier, is that you? Oh, he's connecting. Hold up.
Yeah, that's me.
All right, got you. I was telling the class once again. I know the rest of the class like keep having to preach itself, but it's cool. We all can be. I'm late a lot of the time, so I'm not hating. But chapter the quiz will be posted tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. It consists of questions that come from chapters 1 through 7. At the end of every chapter in the textbook, there's a set of review questions. If you turn the book upside down, the answers to the review questions are right there at the bottom of the page. Of course, they're upside down at the bottom of the page. So you can also get the answers to the review questions. Those review questions are that pool of questions is where I get my questions for the quiz, for all my quizzes. So you got 3 quizzes. There's a quiz, of course, tomorrow. That consists of section 1, which is chapters 1 through 7. Then in a few weeks, we got quiz number 2 in October. That's when we get to the end of chapter 10. And then quiz number 3 is not until late October, and that's when we get to the end of chapter 13, the last chapter in the textbook. So you got 3 quizzes. So once we get to the end of every section of the textbook, we're gonna have a quiz. So like I said, this first quiz number 1, it's worth 10 points. I'm trying to remember whether I put an extra credit question on it. Let's see. One moment. Yeah, I'm gonna make. All right, let me see. I pull it up. Trying to remember whether I put an extra credit question on the quiz. I did. I don't think I did. I think the quiz is just let me see. It is just yeah, it's just 10 questions, no extra credit questions. So 10 questions that if you had done the review questions for every chapter in the textbook, you would have seen. So there's not going to be anything you haven't seen before if you've been doing your reading. Even if you don't do your reading, just keep it 100. Even if you haven't been doing your reading, if you just do the review questions at the end of every. Matter of fact, if you read the reviews at the end of every chapter, and that which kind of gives you, which is pretty much like a overview of everything the chapter talked about, and then turn to the next page and there are review questions, you've probably done enough to do well, to not miss a question on all my quizzes. So if you miss a question, you tripping. So if you miss a question, that lets me know either you tripping or you just don't have the textbook. And there's nothing I can do about that. So I've tried to essentially not hide the ball from you guys and just leave it out there, leave that easy 100 points out there for you guys. So it's yours for the taking if you want it. I'm not trying to keep it from you. So that's what the quiz consists of. Any questions about chapter 6 and chapter 7 before we roll out? Anyone have any?
No.
Okay. So does everyone, just to let you know, the quiz will be up tomorrow morning, and it'll be up until the 14th. So it'll be up until Monday. It'll be up until Monday at midnight. So you have from tomorrow, which is Friday, through Monday at 11:59 p.m. to do 10 questions. So this stuff is easy, right? Is there anyone on this call that thinks that this stuff is is hardcore? I don't think so. The book is what it is. So why wait until the last minute to do it? You might as well jump on tomorrow morning, go and get that thing done. Enjoy your weekend. And the last thing you got to worry about is my little 10-question quiz because you already got it done. I'm not rushing anybody, but I'm rushing you. Do the quiz. It's 10 questions, and you know where the questions come from. So I don't know if I can make it any more easier or more self-explanatory. So there are not any questions. And of course, chapter 6 and 7 were talked about eyewitness testimony, and of course a few rules for the road. I do got to kind of at least breeze over it real quick, and we'll get off the call. Let me see. Chapter 6 just talked about as an eyewitness, of course, the three things they're going to really want to get out of you in your questioning, or that are going to make you valuable as an eyewitness. First, your ability to perceive. In other words, were you in a position to have seen what happened? I got Maya Cross coming in. So were you in a position to have seen what happened? Then two, do you remember what you saw? So it's a matter of were you in a position to see it or perceive it. It's not always see, sometimes what you hear. So we say eyewitness, but we actually mean like anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be something you witness with your eyes. You can come to court and testify to something you heard as well. So it doesn't always have to be, so we call it eyewitness, but that's kind of a misnomer. So it's anything you perceive. So where were you at when you perceived it? Was there anything affecting what you saw, what you heard? Then the next question, then the next thing that makes you valuable is whether or not you can actually remember. A lot of times in court, if you're called to be a witness, the actual trial date when you're asked to testify is usually a long time away from when it actually happened. Most trials, some trials can be in the trial, be in the trial lineup or in line for like, heck, sometimes years, if not sometimes 8 years is pretty quick. But other times trials can be in the lineup for a very long time. I'm trying to reply to somebody. All right. Is Dia Hilliard already on this call?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're already okay. I just now responded to your but you're here. Okay, sorry about that.
Yay.
All right, my bad. Sorry about that.
That's
But
okay.
what was I saying? Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. So so a lot of times you might be called in to testify about something that happened years ago in certain situations. So when you get on the stand, what's going to make you a valuable witness is one, whether you were in a position to have accurately perceived what happened, what you're testifying about. Two, whether you actually remember it now that you're on the stand. And then three, are you able to talk about it? In other words, are you able to communicate effectively what happened or what you saw? So those are the three things. So in direct examination, those are the three things. If an attorney is going to call you to testify about something you perceive, it would be incumbent upon that attorney to make sure that you can do all three of those things. If not, then, of course, if you were in a position where your perception was affected, if you saw something, but it was dark or there were other things happening that would have taken your attention away from it, or you were drunk or intoxicated when you perceived it, those are all things that can call your perception into question. So, of course, when we get to the portion of the book, which is pretty much the last section, we talk about cross-examination and what the opposing attorneys are going to do in cross-examination to try to challenge what you're saying you saw, and challenge what you're saying your perception is. So to be a good witness, you want to have been in a good position to know what you're talking about, to have seen it. You want to remember it because now you're being asked to come to trial and testify about it, probably more than a year later. So do you even remember what happened? And then even if you remember it, are you able to effectively communicate what you saw and what you're testifying about? Then not only that, of course, being a good witness is about communication. So are you able to communicate and tell what happened well enough that the jurors and the or what we call the trier of fact, that they understand what you're talking about? So of course we're gonna talk further about that, but that's pretty much what we talked about in chapter 6, just being an eyewitness. And I think I open up by saying eyewitness testimony is probably the number one cause of convictions, and it's also the number one cause of wrongful convictions, because a lot of times, most times people get it wrong. But because a lot of times in certain situations you might perceive something, especially when it comes to identifying a person, saying this is the person that did something. One of the number one causes of wrongful convictions is eyewitness testimony when it's what we call a cross-racial identification. What that means is not necessarily based on racism; it's just based on culture. Of course, that I'm looking at everybody's picture. I think for the most part, we're all people of color on this call, right? And we're socialized with each other because this is how it works, right? And you guys go to a black school. I teach a black school, so you're around black people all day. Your mama black, your daddy black, so you've been around black people all your life, so you know how black people look. You know that I don't look anything like Joseph Reimer, right? I don't even see Joseph Reimer's picture, but I'm trying to see what the other fellas. I don't look nothing like Tavis Williams or Joseph Reimer, right? So because we're black, and Boyce looks nothing like them, they look nothing like Boyce. But to a white lady who may not be socialized with black people, and I know there's always that joke about racism, like, they think all black people look alike. But actually, we think all white people look alike as well, because if somebody, unless we know the person. So, of course, if it's someone you know or have a relationship with and you witness them doing a crime, it's undeniable that you're going to be able to identify that face because that face is already familiar to you. But there's situations where sometimes you witness something and it's somebody you don't know. I know for certain if I saw a white male committing that act, and then I had to come to court months later and say definitively that it's him, I can honestly say I may not be sure. You'll be surprised how as black people, as certain different white people that we think, they look alike, and they really don't in their culture. Just like some people say, yeah, Boyce and Joseph Reimer look just alike, and we don't look nothing alike. So it's kind of a cultural thing. So there have actually been cases. There's a whole nonprofit organization called the Innocence Project, where that's what they do. They literally go through, and in cases where people, a lot of people, convicted people that are in jail, they essentially reach out to the Innocence Project and ask them to review their case. And there have been some major cases where people were convicted of like rape and stuff like that. And the person that identified them in court got it totally wrong. And in some of the situations, you know, the only thing that kind of looked like, I know in one case, I think the guy that actually did it was a light-skinned male or a light-skinned black male, and the guy that was accused of doing it and convicted of the crime, he was a light-skinned male. I think they both had close haircuts. But outside of that, they looked nothing alike. But of course, to a white lady, light-skinned black male, that, you know, so essentially when you go in these lineups and someone's picking you out, especially if they're from another race, they could get it wrong. You know, they could really get it wrong. It's actually scary that you could be misidentified so easily. And this man was convicted. And so that means this lady also came into court and actually not only did she point him out in the lineup, but then in court, she had to go in front of 12 jurors and say it was him and point her finger and say, all right, that he's the guy. So she identified him wrong twice, probably more than that. And so of course, after 20 something years of this man being in prison, the Innocence Project looks at it. There's alibi evidence that shows he wouldn't have been there, that wasn't considered, of course, and there's always some type of some screwed up investigating that goes on as well. And then they had DNA evidence now. So now there's a new technology or a new way to investigate through DNA evidence. And they did the DNA evidence, and what's crazy, the guy that actually did it, he actually the DNA matched him, and he was actually in jail for guess what, rape. So when they figured out who actually did it, he was already in prison. So this guy had been sitting in prison for a rape he didn't commit, and the rapist was already in prison for another rape, and he ended up saying, "Yep, that was me too." And they matched it, and he was like, "Wow, we got the wrong guy." They were both lived in the same area, so of course he was connected to the town or wherever, the city where it happened. But outside of that, that's the only connection they had, and both of them were light-skinned black males. So that's kind of scary that could happen. That's actually scary, in my opinion. Facing the weight of the criminal justice system when you didn't do it is scarier to me than being chased by an axe murderer. So at least with an axe murderer, I can defend myself. If I can get to a gun, I can shoot back. But there's no way, you can't really fight an entire system that's trying to put you away. So you can see this guy went to jail, so he really couldn't fight. He spent 20 plus years of his life in jail before someone came to his aid, and he got help. So, of course, what's crazy now, him and that woman that identified him, and they actually travel together now with the Innocence Project, and they actually do seminars and talk about how she got it wrong. And they're actually friends. I don't know if I could ever bear that hatchet to be friends with anyone like that, but he was. You put me in jail, you know, and you gotta think, going to jail for something like rape or violent crime like that, you're definitely not in a easy jail, probably maximum security facility, definitely not nice in there. And then he was convicted of rape, so he looked like we all have heard about how they treat sex offenders in jail. So there's no telling what type of stuff he had to do to defend his manhood for 20 years. And then you don't even know what type of animal he had to become to survive in prison. That's the crazy thing, because a lot of people get institutionalized when you get to prison. You kind of can't be the same human anymore and survive. You got to be an animal. You got to be ready to stab somebody or fight at the drop of a dime, not because you're a bad person, but because that's kind of what you might have to do to survive in prison. So he spent 20 years of being institutionalized. So the question is, could he ever come back to being human? But the answer is yes, because he actually became cool with the alleged victim that pointed him out incorrectly in court, and they traveled together. I couldn't do it, but he did. So that's chapter 6. Chapter 7 was just a few rules for the road, just about testifying the only things you have personal knowledge to, and just obvious things like giving the attorney time to object when a question is asked before you answer it. So the book is pretty much kind of self-explanatory. Some of the stuff they say is obvious. It's not hard reading. Just read the book. Hopefully you guys have the textbook. If anyone doesn't have the textbook, you better ask for help from your classmates. Somebody can screenshot you the review at the end of each chapter, and even screenshot you the chapter review questions and the answers as well. So hopefully you guys are you guys are all Aggies, and Aggies do. So hopefully y'all help Aggie out just in the stress. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, the quiz will be up tomorrow at 7 a.m. And it'll be up until Monday the 14th at 11:59 p.m. So you have from Friday at 7 a.m. to Monday at 11:59 to do 10 questions. I told you I got the 10 questions from at the end of each chapter. They have the review questions, and then, like I said, you turn the book upside down, and the answer to the review questions are there. So it's going to be 10. So out of these 7 chapters, I picked 10 questions. And that's what your quiz consists of. I didn't tell you which questions I chose, but it's undoubtedly the questions are going to be 10 of these questions. So if you do all these questions, you'll be prepared, and you would have seen every question. So that's how it's going to go. So that's the first quiz worth 10 points. It's just 10 questions, so each question is worth a point. There's no extra credit question attached. So good luck. Any questions before we log off?
No.
All right, so is everybody going?
No.
Hello? Okay. So everybody jump on there and take that quiz. It'll be up tomorrow morning. So you guys be good, okay? Aggie Pride.
Bye.
Thank
Aggie
you.
Pride. Thank you.
Pride.
And for y'all,
Good
for
day.
those who came in late, I got Maya Cross. I got you. Who all came in late that needs to be counted? And Carrie is trying to sign back in. I think I already got Carrie.
Did you get me?
Hold up. I think I muted you on accident.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Jay Downs, I got
Yes.
you, Jay. I think I got everybody because you were as everyone was coming in late. I marked you guys down. I got Miss Hope. Make sure I got Miss McMillan. I think I called her name on the roll a while back. Shanique Hines is signing in now.
Yeah, all the instructors record your class. Yeah.
Hold up.
Why are you still on there?
Mom, making sure he can hear you.
Kathy Dillard. What was your name? I know you're under your mom's. Who was this? This was
Daya Hilliard, sir.
Hilliard. I got you, Daya.
Thank you very much.
All right. Who just signed in? Shanique Hines. Oh, she's still signing in. Shanique. Miss Hines. Hello. All right, Miss Hines. Trying to ask you to unmute. Okay. I tried. I got you on the roll, Miss Hines. I'm not kind of repeating myself again, but I am going to post this session. You might want to look at it. On YouTube, so it'll be up in about 20 minutes. So it's very important that you look at this session so you'll know what we went over, because there is a quiz. It'll be up in the morning. So it's very important. So, but you guys take care.